This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're working on the LG dishwasher drain pump. We're going to be replacing it with a new drain pump. And first thing we did is we took out the baskets. Now we're taking out the lower spray arm. There's two Phillips head screws holding it in. Kind of hard to get to, but you can see them there. And we're just going to zip those out. And then we can lift the spray arm straight up. That gives us access to the filter assembly, and there's a group of screws here we have to remove. One is really short, this one right here, that holds on the tube taking water up to the upper spray arm. And the other ones, there's a bunch of them, but they're all the same size and they're longer. They're all Phillips head. We're going to unplug it or turn off the breaker, make sure there's no chance of getting shocked. We'll zip out all these screws. And then we need to remove the this tube that's going up, bringing water to the upper spray arm. There's two clips here that I just removed with a standard head screwdriver. And there's two clips higher up at the top that we have to pry off. We can get this tube to come off, get it out of the way. And then we can lift up the sump filter assembly, get that out of the way. We're going to drain any water that we can with a turkey baster, just so there's less water to come out. We're going to remove any screws that are holding the dishwasher into the cabinet. There may be some on the side and some on the top. This one didn't have any screws. It was just being held in by friction, so I'm going to wiggle it out and get the dishwasher out. I'm going to make sure things are disconnected underneath the cabinet, so I'm going to remove the drain hose from either the garbage disposal or from the air gap up by the sink. So disconnect that, turn off the water, make sure it's unplugged. I'll pull it out away from the cabinet, just a little bit. I'll put down a towel. I'm going to lay down the dishwasher on its side. And then to get to the drain pump, we just remove these two spade connectors. We're going to take the hose off, and then there's just three Phillips head screws that are holding the drain pump onto the sump. So I use my pliers to take off the hose clamps. And these Phillips head screws are a little bit hard to get to. You may want to use a Phillips head with a ratchet to remove these little screws, but they're the only things that are holding the drain pump on. If it isn't draining, it could be the drain pump. Oftentimes it's just a clog in the air gap. So these are the three screws. This is one where the whole sump has been removed, but this is just to give you an idea where those screws are located. So you zip those off. Easy for me to do here because I have the sump removed, but with the sump in position, it's a little harder. You need to use like a little ratchet. Here's an O-ring. Make sure you get the O-ring put on first before you install the new pump. Push it into the sump and then just add those three Phillips head screws. Again, here it's easy because we're seeing the sump pulled away from the dishwasher. With the sump still installed though, it's a little bit tougher. Just take your time and maybe again use a ratchet with your Phillips head so that you can get to it a little bit easier. So now we're just putting the spade connectors back onto the pump, and we're going to put the drain hose, discharge hose back on, and then we're going to put the hose clamp back on to hold it. We get those tight. And then we got it back on its feet. We're just going to put all these parts back on. We'll put the impeller back on. And the filter, get it back on its feet, push it back into the cabinet. And we just got to hook everything back up. Hook up the drain hose. Tighten that up. Sometimes you want to keep the drain hose off and put it into a bowl and then run a drain cycle and see if it can just exit into a bowl. We're putting the power back in, turning the water back on, and then we're just going to turn on the power and run a cycle. It's the power button. Pick a cycle, and it'll just start up. I'm removing the 2 Phillips head screws on the kick panel so I can just stare in there while it's running to confirm that there's no leaks. So I'll stare at it while it's filling, I'll stare at it during circulation, and then I'll make it go to drain, and I'll stare at it to make sure that no water's leaking out. So that should do it. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.